Welcome to the Writer at Work podcast. Ms. Catherine M.H. and Kit Boyer are your co-hosts. They will be bringing you updates on their journey to becoming full-time authors, as well as writing advice, book reviews, and information to help you on your road to authordom. Join these authors as they work on their writing careers.
Welcome to the Writer at Work podcast. I'm Ms. Catherine M.H., and with me, as always, is Kit Boyer. Today, we have a process episode, and we are talking about the software that we use in order to do our writing and editing. So, I am a big fan of never using Scrivener. I think it was created by a demon. It is meant to torture writers, but that's just me. So because of that, I use a bunch of different things. I use Word documents. I have Microsoft OneNote, and I also use Google Docs. So those are the three big major ones that I use. Sometimes I will start something in Google Docs and write the whole thing out there and transfer it into Word for editing. I will always have a backup inside of Microsoft OneNote. I absolutely love OneNote. It's where I keep all of my backups. So if something is missing, I know it's in OneNote somehow. It's the only one that I keep remembering to consistently back up. I write a chapter and then I put it into my OneNote. So each of my books has So OneNote works like this. You have notebooks, and then in those notebooks, you have new pages. So I have a notebook set up just for Scandal's Pen, my steampunk book, and I will have tabs like you would in one of those 5 subject notebooks, and each of those tabs holds a draft. And then inside of there, I get to pick new pages, and each new page is one of my chapters. So as soon as I'm done writing a chapter, I somehow remember to consistently back it up into Microsoft OneNote. So if ever I've lost anything, it's in there. And it syncs to my phone. So if I need it on my phone or if something's happening, my computer crashes, whatever, I still have the last piece that I worked on right on my phone. The other thing that I'll do is, like I said, I use Google Docs and I use Microsoft Word. So I will go back and forth with these ones. If I am sending it to my editor, I will automatically put it into Microsoft Word and send it to them. While I am writing, I'm doing a co-writing with someone, we are using Google Docs because this way both of us have the exact same copy. And if we need to, we can look at it at the same time and make corrections in real time. So Google Docs works great for that one. If I'm talking about editing, I'm still using Microsoft Word. I will, and of course, OneNote to keep track of all of my different drafts. So I have each copy. But in Word, I will highlight. I do my highlighting thing. I will do corrections in it. And if I'm looking to go really deep, I will use the software AutoCrit, and through them, I will go through things and check out like all of my passive voice and then remove that for my editor. And of course, because you can't edit your own stuff completely, send it off to an editor, and we use Microsoft Word. They send it back to me, and I will then make the corrections or accept the corrections using Word. So that's really my process with software and how I use it. What about you?
Well, I used to really like Ulysses, which is just a very simple, clean app. I would use it on my phone and also on my computer. I have a Mac and an iPhone, so it syncs up between those two. A couple of problems with Ulysses, or I guess the reason I don't really use it as much anymore, is that you don't have a separate file for each project you're working on. It's all part of the same Like if you open up Ulysses, you can see every project you've ever worked on in Ulysses. It's not like opening a Word document and that Word document is only the one thing that you wrote in there. Like you only wrote this story in there. You didn't write every story in your entire, arsenal. So Ulysses is a little bit, I don't really like that about it. But what's nice about Ulysses is that for poetry, I can quickly open that app. It opens really fast for me, and I can open up a new page and just jot a poem down quickly and then leave. So I sometimes will still use it for poetry once in a while. It does, I think, sync up to Nano, so you can update your word counts as you go. So that's nice.
That's cool.
Another one my most favorite is Scrivener. I love Scrivener, and I'm a power user of Scrivener. It is big and bulky and awesome. One story is one file, so when you open up your, Arborist of Asgard file on Scrivener, it is just Arborist of Asgard. It's not every other story included. It's just whatever you saved in that. So that's good. You can separate... I'm not going to get into what I love about Scrivener, like every way to use it. That's amazing. But basically, you can track how many words you've written, how often you write. I think there's a way to see what times of day you most often write. It gives you a lot of metadata about your writing. You can also include your own metadata. You can link it up to other types of software like Aeon Timeline, which I really like. It's just a timeline software. I've been trying to use Plotter lately. I've been trying to get it to work on my computer and have not had success, but I'm excited to try, and you can also link that to Scrivener. Scrivener can be used offline, which is really important to me, and it can also be mobile. I have it on my phone, and they sync the files through Dropbox. So I know that I can always access my story wherever I am, whether I'm online or not, and it will sync up. So that's really, really important because I'm often away from my computer, and if I'm putting the baby, or he's a toddler now, toddler to nap time, and he's sleeping on one arm, I can't get up, but I can reach over to my phone and type in some story notes.
Nice.
I also use Google Docs because it's very quick, very easy. It's shareable, so I will often use Google Docs when I need to go to my critique group or send somebody something. I'll put it in Google Docs and they can include comments or put in notes or whatever. It's very simple. It's online only, so it's kind of annoying, but you can get it on your phone as well, so it's mobile. I also use Word like you do, but not in the same way at all. The only reason I ever use Word is for formatting. I use it to format chapbooks or poems if I need them in a specific way that I can't do in other software. I use it to, when I'm transferring my serial fiction from Scrivener, I put it through Word first so that I make sure that the formatting is correct, and then I can post it. Because if you copy something out of Scrivener and try to put it online, it doesn't save like italics or bold or anything. It's kind of annoying. It's a big drawback if you're trying to go quickly from one to the other. But if you put it through Word first, it's a little bit easier. For editing, I will use Pro Writing Aid. I think we got a free trial from something, and I'm still working on that. I use the simplest version of it. I don't really get into the weeds very often with that, mostly because I have a very specific voice, and my dialogue is obviously going to be, as we talked about in our dialogue episode, unique per person. And Pro Writing Aid has all these grammar rules that it's trying to get you to follow, and it's like, you shouldn't end a sentence with a preposition, or you shouldn't blah blah blah, and I just am like, that's not how people talk, so I'm gonna go ahead and ignore all of those. But it is useful for when you've accidentally written the same sentence twice, when you've copied and pasted something, or something like that has happened, or you've started every sentence for the past paragraph with the word, I or something. It is useful for those types of things. And to keep in touch with other writers, I do use Discord mainly, but I'll also use Slack and sometimes Reddit. And that, I think, is the bulk of my software usage. Other stuff I do is write by hand, which you also do.
Yep.
And I also write poems on my typewriter sometimes.
That's cool. I've got to get tape for my typewriter. I have one. It's just sitting under that big Victorian chair of mine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever record, like when you're out, if you can't write, do you ever record on your phone or something?
So yeah, I will usually type it out on my phone if it's for so I have 3 stories that I'm for now that I am currently working on. I have my cyberpunk, my space opera, my steampunk, and my waterworld. And if it's one of those, I'll write it on my phone. If it is anything else, I use my paper system. So
Yeah.
I have notepads. I always carry one on me when I leave the house, just because, I mean, you never know when you're going to need paper. And with me, I have a system of if I'm jotting a note down in pencil and it's printed, it's fine if I throw it away. If I am jotting a note down and it's printed and it's in pen, that means it's a little bit more important. If it is written in cursive, then I am really looking at trying to keep that note. So once it gets typed out, or if I go back and I'm typing something out, then it becomes a permanent note for me and I can get rid of that piece of paper. If I was to get rid of that piece of paper, I usually still have them. But that is my writing system. If it's pencil, I can throw it out, especially if it's printed. If it's pen and it's printed, it might be sort of important. And if it's pen and cursive, then it is very important. And that's a piece of paper I will keep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If I ever record something on my phone, like out loud on my voice thing, 100% of the time I will forget that it's on there. But I often do that, so hopefully it just sticks in my head. And it's like when you tell somebody else to remember something for you, but you're actually just externalizing that slightly so that it's more likely that you'll remember it, since you've also said it out loud. I think that's kind of... So if, you might, not you, but the listeners might find it useful to record something on their phone's like voice recording app, even if they never ever listen to it ever again. Oh,
Yeah.
also sometimes I do record if I'm thinking of a song. If I have somebody singing a song or humming or something like that, and I have it in my head, I'll record that on my phone.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I rarely use the record button, or the record. There's only few times that I will use my text messaging, and that is when I cannot figure out the spelling of something, and I will I'll use the voice thing and say whatever the word is, and it will write it out for me, and then I'll be like, wow, I was 2 letters off. So.
That's useful, though. That's a useful trick.
Yeah, it's when I remember that one. It's usually I've become so frustrated and I notice the phone's by me that I will then pick up the phone and do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So if anybody out there has dyslexia, that's a tip for you. Or
Yep.
is bad at spelling, I guess.
Yeah, either one. Or if Word gives you like 6 options. But yeah, I think that's my process with software and pads.
Yeah. Mine also as well, also too. So thank you all for listening. We appreciate that. Go ahead and like, subscribe, social, whatever, if you want to. Have a great week, and see you next time.
Bye.